The experts are wrong. The Republicans are wrong. Commentators, all wrong. It actually turns out that Joe Biden made exactly the right choice when he picked Kamala Harris as his vice president. He picked an absolute lifesaver. Of course, you may laugh, you may cackle. But I repeat, Joe Biden made exactly the right pick with Kamala Harris. For him, that is. The right pick for him, not for America, not for the free world, for him personally. Now, I get what you're probably saying right now. For the rest of us, yeah, Kamala Harris, she's a nightmare. And it's not just that she must be the most irritating, the most grating senior political figure in US politics, with this bizarre habit she has of laughing nervously and inappropriately when she's asked even the simplest question, a serious question even, that she doesn't know how to answer. Like a question on refugees when she flew to Europe to supposedly help out on the Ukraine war.
Okay. A friend in need is a friend indeed.
I go first. And yes, I also know that that laugh isn't just an annoying, nervous tick. It really is a cover for the most incredible ignorance, ineptitude. I mean, Harris is a woman clearly out of her depth. She's a woman who flew to Singapore when Afghanistan fell to the Taliban and all hell had hit the fan back of the office, and then laughed when she was tracked down.
Back to a bunch of Americans. Hold on. Slow down, everybody.
And there was that same nervous laugh when she was asked why she hadn't visited the Mexican border when that was supposed to be her big priority.
Do you plan to visit the border?
Not today. This whole thing about the border, we've been to the border. We've been to the border.
You haven't been to the border.
And I haven't been to Europe. And I don't understand the point that you're making.
In Sweden, we like to think of it as the land of ABBA and IKEA. There's actually been a kind of civil war that's erupted now into the streets for almost 2 weeks. It's a war against freedom. Now, in several cities, mobs, mainly Muslim, have attacked police, injuring more than 100, burning dozens of police vehicles. Sweden's police chief said it was the worst street violence he'd seen. The mobs were trying to kill his officers. And Sweden's justice minister says some foreign governments in the Middle East seem to be stirring up these mobs. Now, you probably guessed already the freedom that these mobs are attacking. It's the free speech that the West thought was one of its most fundamental beliefs. It's the freedom that is so central to our democracies, to our art, to our science, a freedom that's behind not just our open societies, but our wealth. Now, against that freedom is a religion, Islam, and the extremists in Sweden's immigrant communities who say that Islam must never be insulted. Some say the penalty for that is death. Now, it's a medieval code that not for the first time has brought blood to the streets of Europe. Now, of course, you could blame this Danish-Swedish politician that's now being held responsible for these riots, and many do. Rasmus Paludan heads a nasty far-right political party that's not just anti-immigration but anti-Islam. He wants Muslims deported and Islam banned, and has announced a tour of Sweden burning the Quran in various cities, a stunt that he's pulled before. Now, at least one good thing about this war is that Sweden is one country in Europe that does take free speech very seriously. It's defended cartoonists, for instance, who mocked Muhammad. And Sweden's police said, well, look, all right, you can burn the Quran and we will in fact protect you and your right to do so, which is exactly what happened. And then, bang, the riots, including in cities which Paludan never actually managed to get to as the violence spread. The West has grappled with this specific problem for more than 30 years, since author Salman Rushdie wrote the satanic verses attacking the Quran. He didn't burn the Quran, he just attacked it in a book. And that got him a death sentence put on him by Iran. And there you go. There were attempts to kill Rushdie. One of his translators was in fact murdered. Others have been attacked, even killed, for daring to criticise or even discuss Islam. The way that many critics freely criticise Christianity, no problem with that. And Salman Rushdie had to spend many, many, many years protected by police, hidden away from people. Or how about Dutch director Theo van Gogh? He was murdered in the street in Amsterdam for directing a film criticising Islam for oppressing women. Or the cartoonists in Scandinavia who drew cartoons of Muhammad. They were attacked. They faced death threats. They were even shot at. One of them was, and the people in this bookshop, for drawing a cartoon of Muhammad. One in Denmark was killed just at that book launch. And cartoonists in the French magazine Charlie Hebdo, they were slaughtered for mocking Islam. And 2 years ago, a French teacher was beheaded for showing his students a cartoon of Muhammad during a lesson where he wanted to stress the importance of free speech. Don't blow this up into, Piers Morgan attacked by a colleague. I actually like Piers Morgan, the person, and he is a colleague, but I think he's wrong. He's wrong in an important way about the winner of the Eurovision Song Contest held in Turin on Saturday, the Kalush Orchestra from Ukraine. Now, Piers, like many others, has said that theirs wasn't the best song at all in Eurovision this year, and no one who voted for Ukraine thought it was the best song. Not even Ukrainians did. And they just got the sympathy vote, so stop pretending this was even a contest. And Piers, does have a point, of course. The Eurovision judges, for one, thought the Kalush Orchestra came fifth in their rankings with their song, which has actually become a bit of an anthem in Ukraine during the Russian invasion, with lines like, "I'll always find my way home, even if all roads are destroyed." Okay, you got it. It's sure not ABBA. So, tick to Piers. But it clicked. And it clicked with audiences all over Europe that voted, one country after another, to give it 12 out of 12. And their cumulative votes just tipped it over the line, runaway winner. And that's because there is actually something far more important than a great tune and clever lyrics and a terrific voice to make art that really speaks to us, that creates the best music just when we need it most. Because you also need time and place, creating a context and a need for that song right now, a need you feel here. And this Kalush Orchestra song spoke directly to our hearts because Ukraine has been savagely attacked by a much bigger army and has suffered so terribly, yet fought back so heroically against such terrifying odds. And that's the context that makes this song sound even better when you hear it from a soldier who's singing it as a Russian shell explodes right near him.
Stefania, mamo, Stefania, rozkwitaje pole, a ona siwi.
Vladimir Putin now knows, and I mean knows, he has lost this war. The Russian president knows he has totally lost this insane war he started when he sent his tanks into Ukraine 3 weeks ago, thinking all be over in 3 days. What a catastrophic misjudgment. And the irony is that Putin actually forgot the big lesson that he said he learned as a kid. He used to boast about this. It's a lesson he talks about in his autobiography, talking about growing up in an apartment block in St. Petersburg. He says, as a young boy, he was scared of the rats in the staircase, and he used to chase them away with a stick. But one day he pushed a big rat too far, it had nowhere to run, he said, so It turned and flew at me, says Putin. He was frightened, had to run away, lock himself in the apartment, slammed the door in the rat's face. And that is exactly the mistake Putin has now made with Ukraine. He pushed hard, and Ukraine turned, and it flew at his army. It had nowhere else to go. It flew at his army, and it ripped it to shreds. Now, I know, Russia, very big country, very big army, it's pouring in replacements. This army is so big, it can still destroy Ukraine's cities. But you can see Putin's shock and his fear, his realization that it's actually lost. You can see it in his latest arranged speech, in his threats, in his concessions, in his admissions, in his sheer fury. Putin had said at the start of this war, Ukraine is actually Russian. In its soul, it's Russian, it's ours. And he figured his soldiers would just have to turn up and Ukrainians would welcome him as liberators. Well, that's apparently what his own spy chiefs reportedly told him. But who dares contradict a man so violent that he has his enemies killed? Well, instead, the Ukrainians have welcomed Putin's tanks not with flowers, but with missiles, shells and bombs. Putin's army is being smashed. The Pentagon reckons he's lost maybe 10% of his fighting forces in Ukraine already. He's now even lost his 4th general on the battlefield, which is astonishing. I mean, 4 generals killed in just 3 weeks. Yassmin Abdel-Magied, an Australian with Sudanese parents, and as I say, a writer. In fact, she's just filmed herself celebrating the publication of her latest book, which sells her as a revolutionary, a kind of race revolutionary, in fact. She calls herself a forever migrant, which is one of these anywhere people, cosmopolitan, but she still wants the country she's in to change to suit her. Revolution, you know. Now, if you have a new book, one does need publicity. And what a coincidence. Abdel-Magied got all that with another one of her now infamous tweets. Turns out she's watched close up how Britain, as I say, her new home, has been celebrating its Queen, the head of state who has helped to guarantee the stable constitutional monarchy that has produced a country so free and safe and rich that many millions of migrants, like Abdel-Magied, have gone there to live. Yet Abdel-Magied took exception to the flag of this wonderful country, all those Union flags. And she tweeted, "There are Union Jacks everywhere. It's like a waking nightmare." You wonder, a nightmare? Now this forever migrant who has chosen to live in Britain thinks it's a nightmare when people fly the flag of that country, which incidentally celebrates the union of various peoples in one nation. The English, the Irish and the Scots, all the symbols are on that flag. And under that flag, Britons have fought and died to preserve their freedoms, like freedom of speech. The freedoms that Abdel-Magied, at no cost to herself, no sweat, no blood, now enjoys in full.